She wasn't even on my land 5 minutes before starting trouble. I was walking the fence line when Karen, the self-appointed HOA president, stormed up with her clipboard like she owned the world. My ranch isn't part of her HOA, but that didn't stop her from barking orders. She slapped a laminated notice onto my fence post and declared, "This driveway is now blocked for safety reasons." I read it twice to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. The paper claimed that the ranch road I built and paid for was now closed to all non-HOA residents. That was almost funny because her little HOA sat half a mile away. And for years, they'd been using my driveway as their private shortcut. I told her she had no authority here, but she leaned in like she was the sheriff herself and said, "From today, no one enters without HOA approval." Behind her, 2 guys in neon vests were unloading cones from her SUV. They weren't county workers, knew that right away. "Karen," I said, keeping my voice even, "you're trespassing." She smirked and said, "Call the cops. I already have." 5 minutes later, a black sedan pulled up. 2 men got out flashing badges on lanyards. But something was off: no uniforms, no marked car, and their story didn't line up. One muttered about enforcing HOA restrictions, and I felt my blood pressure spike. But I stayed calm. What Karen didn't know was that this ranch had been in my family for 3 generations. My younger brother just happened to be the county sheriff. The fake officers paced around my gate like they owned the place, one even rattling the chain lock. I asked for proper IDs, but the tall one sneered, "We don't have to show you anything. This is HOA business." I nearly laughed. HOA business on land older than their subdivision. I stepped closer and said, "You've only got 30 seconds to step off my property before you find out how real law enforcement works." Karen folded her arms and shouted, "You're bluffing. Everyone knows you're just a stubborn rancher. We have permission to be here." Perfect. She had walked right into her own trap. My phone was already recording, and I texted my brother the second they pulled in. A minute later, I saw a dust cloud on the horizon, his patrol truck coming in hot. The fake cops didn't notice until his siren chirped once. My brother stepped out in full uniform, one hand on his belt, the other holding a folder. He looked straight at Karen. "Ma'am, do you have permission to close a county-registered driveway?" She stammered about community safety, but he cut her off. "Funny, because this road is private property, and the man you're harassing is my brother." Her face drained of color, but she still tried to recover. "Well, we'll just take the long way then." My brother nodded. "That's exactly what you're going to do after I get your friends' real names." The fake officers shifted uncomfortably, realizing their little act was finished. But what none of them knew was that I already had tomorrow planned. The next morning, I woke before sunrise, sipping coffee on the porch as mist rolled over the pasture. My mind wasn't on the weather, was on payback. For years, Karen and her HOA had been cutting across my driveway, carving ruts into my gravel road, and never once offering to help with repairs. Yesterday was the last straw. I loaded 6 brand-new retractable spike strips industrial grade, bought legally at a ranch supply auction, into my truck and bolted them into the road beneath a thin layer of gravel. If you drove slow and careful, nothing happened. But if you sped through like Karen always did, you'd hear the hiss before you felt the thump. At 8:15, I heard her SUV whining down the road. She came flying up, sunglasses on, phone in one hand like she was queen of the county. I leaned on the fence, pretending to work. She didn't slow down. Then pop, pop, pop. 3 tires shredded in an instant. Her SUV skidded to a stop halfway up my drive. She jumped out screaming, "You vandal! You'll pay for this!" I pointed at the private road. No trespassing sign hanging right above her head. "You should have read the sign, Karen." She was still shouting when another truck pulled up. My brother again, answering yet another call. This time, he wasn't just here to scare her off. He stepped out holding a warrant. Karen froze when she saw the papers. She tried to play it cool, leaning against her SUV. "Officer, this man sabotaged my vehicle. He's dangerous." My brother never looked at me. T kept his eyes on her. "Ma'am, this isn't a complaint call. This is a service call for you." He unfolded the warrant, the big, bold words trespassing and impersonating a peace officer catching the wind. Karen sputtered, "That's ridiculous. I was enforcing rules." He cut her off. "The only rules you've been enforcing are against the law. Those two men you brought yesterday, they've been identified and are already in custody." She threw up her hands, still arguing, but my brother shut her down. "Step away from the vehicle. It's being impounded as evidence." A tow truck rolled up and her jaw dropped as they hooked her SUV. "You can't take my car." My brother glanced at me, then back at her. "Actually, ma'am, we can. And when you show up in court, bring proof you had any right to be here." Spoiler, you don't. She looked around for backup, but none of her HOA board members came. The only sound was the chains clanking as the tow truck dragged her pride and joy away. Word spread through the subdivision within days. Karen had lost her SUV, was facing charges, and now had a court date stamped in red on her mailbox. But no one knew the real storm coming. See, I'd been quiet for years while they trespassed. But when Karen brought fake cops onto my land, I decided it was time to end their little shortcut scheme for good. I pulled the trail cam footage I'd been collecting months of videos showing HOA board members speeding down my driveway, dumping trash, and even clipping my fences to make turns. I handed it all to the county attorney. Dates, times, license plates. The damage and illegal use wasn't just a fine, it was felony-level restitution. And the kicker: their so-called shortcut wasn't even on HOA maps. Legally, it never existed. That Friday, I sat in a lawn chair by the gate, waiting. Karen rolled up with two board members in a shiny black SUV, probably thinking they'd negotiate. But before they could speak, 3 county trucks pulled in behind them, followed by my brother's cruiser. The county attorney stepped out, handed Karen an envelope, and said, "You and your HOA are hereby prohibited from entering this property. You will also receive notice of damages owed." She tore the envelope open, eyes scanning the page, and I swear I saw her knees shake. "How much?" one of the board members asked. The attorney didn't blink. $28,000, payable in full. Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. For the first time, she looked small. I motioned to the brand-new steel gate behind me, keypad lock shining in the sun. "This shortcut," I said, "is closed forever." They stood frozen, staring. And as they turned to leave, none of them knew the last surprise I still had waiting in the Barn 1 final move to make sure the HOA never dared step near my land again.